What's up, ballers? Jacob here with AllDriveNoDrop, talking about the Honolulu J2NFT. Oh, this one is something that, the fans were asking me for. So, you know what?
Yeah, I got you, bro.
Yeah, I'm going to deliver, all right? So this is, part of the new dual foam core lineup from Honolulu. You have EPP foam in the middle, and you have EVA foam around the perimeter, and they interlock like puzzle pieces. I'm gonna throw up an X-ray on the screen, throw up what I cut open of the J2NFK, which has the same core. Yeah, I went the extra mile for this one, okay? So, this one is great because it's more controllable than the J2NF. Has that softer feel if you're a J2 Ti or Ti Plus lover and you love, that softer, great dwell, amazing spin, but you want a little bit of a power boost. The J2NFT delivers. This is 195 going down to 175 with code AllDriveNoDrop. It is going to be available for pre-order right now. It's going to ship mid to late July. The pre-orders for the J2NF did sell out, so I would get on that if you are interested. Now, this one scored a 0.41 on the PB core, so no worry about any future delisting. The J2NF scored 0.43. Just hit that max, so you don't have to worry about that either. Now, we're going to jump into the specs, of course, and we're going to jump into some stat comparisons. I'm going to break down that whole J2 lineup and also compare it to some other popular paddles. And then, yeah, we're going to talk about how it performs on the court, of course. So let's get into the specs real quick, and we'll get moving. So like I was saying, it has that EPP foam core with the EVA perimeter. You can check out the X-ray on the screen there. It's a hybrid shape. It's the facing is PET in carbon fiber blend. 16.2 by 7.8 on the dimension, 16 millimeter core, 8 ounces for mine, handle length of 5.5. It is enough for me for 2-handed backhands. You can see here real quick, give it a little quick look. Some people have trouble with this taper. It's a little wider than some other hybrids, but not a problem for me. Grip circumference of 4.125. Swing weight range of 110 to 114. Mine came in at 113. Super maneuverable for a hybrid grit stuff. Twist weight 7.05. Super, super stable paddle. Amazing sweet spot. So love that. Now let's jump into the stat comparisons real quick. Give you an idea of where this paddle ranks amongst its competitors. Okay, let's talk about how all these Honolulu J2 stats stack up, because I know that's always a pressing question. So I got here, it's just sorted by J2, all the J2 shapes right here, and this is where the power stacks up with the J2NF on top. And then you can see where the J2NFT slots in. So the J2NFT slots in right above the J2 Ti and above the J2 Ti Plus. So most powerful of the polyester PET J2 lineup, but a little bit less powerful than some of the J2NF and the J2 FC Plus, and then less poppier than those other ones. So this fits a great spot where you get the power upgrade, you still get the soft feel, and you get less pop, so you get a power boost while still maintaining all of that great controllability. So that's how it stacks up with the Honolulu lineup. So we'll bring in the CRBN TruFoam Genesis into the table, and you can see here the NFT is more powerful than the Genesis 1 and the Genesis 2, by just a little bit on that Genesis 1, and then a pop level of about the same as the Genesis 1, a little bit below the Genesis 2, while keeping that lower swing weight and having a comparable spin just a little bit above the Genesis 2. You're not going to notice the difference with 3 RPM. So that's how it stacks up against the rest of the J2 lineup, stacks up against the CRBN TruFoam lineup, and then we'll show it here real quick. So this is showing the Honolulu J2NFT with all the other paddles in the database. Ranks right around the Mark Unmarked, the Revlon Drift Reach, the Friday Fever. So there you go. That's how the stats break down. And now we will jump to a little bit of how it performs on the court. Okay, so how does the J2NFT perform on the court? When I first started reviewing these paddles, I thought for sure the J2NF would be the most popular just because it had the most power. But you know what? The J2NFT is no slouch either. It's delivering, honestly, right there at the bottom tier of the power paddle category, which for a lot of people is the perfect spot. You can still get big serves, big drives, and finish with your overhead. Now, the dwell time is one of the greatest features of this paddle series, and the NFT does exactly that. You get great dwell time for your drives and your drops and your rolls. You can really hold the ball well in your paddle. It really helps with dinking and resetting. The paddle is super stable, which helps a ton on those resets, and those blocks, and the sweet spot is, you know, one of the best in the game. So what the J2 NFT does really well is it lets you play that soft game. It doesn't have the most pop in the world, so some of your counters you need to put a little bit more effort into, and the paddle won't do as much work for you as the J2 NF as far as resets, but you can really take the pace off the ball a lot better with the J2 NFT. It's a lot easier to control your dings and to control your drop. For some people, this one will be the perfect fit for the J2 NF lineup just because it has the best touch, it has the best control of the series while still having, you know, enough power to get the job done. So that's just how it feels, and it is soft, but it's not as soft as this J2 Ti. I was, you know, going back and forth trying to determine, and I would still say the J2 Ti, and the Ti Plus, just a little bit softer than the J2 NFT. So we'll give it the bounce test. I know some people just like to hear the sound, and you can see it's not that loud. So that's the NFT, and we'll go to the Ti. And honestly, the difference is so slight. It's so slight. You might still think that the J2 NFT is softer. Just from my experience with the two, I still feel like the Ti and Ti Plus are just slightly softer. Not really a big deal because when I'm talking about the difference, it's super small. But that's just how I feel about them. And at the end of the day, the soft to stiff ranking is just a feeling. So that's it on the performance. We do want to talk about the weight setup real quick. Doesn't need weight setup, but I have been putting 5 inches of 0.5 gram per inch tungsten tape, and that is Bodhi tungsten tape if you're looking for 15% off that. This setup has been working well for me. I just did it to add a little bit of power to it. For most people, I would say playing the stock is probably going to be one of the best options. You could add even just a little bit more concentrated below if you don't want to increase the swing weight too much. I get mine up to like 118, 119 sometimes. So that's kind of just my preferred range. But honestly, this plays so well stocked. Just like I was saying in the J2 NF review, these are some of the best paddles I've ever played stock. Okay, so this is my breakdown too. A lot of people are asking, you know, to rank all the J2 paddles, which one's softest to least softest. And honestly, not saying that it's super stiff at the bottom. So I just went ahead. So for me, the J2 Ti and the J2 Ti Plus, pretty much, you know, very similar feeling. Those are still the absolute softest. Right below that is the J2 NFT. I don't know what it is, but the J2 Ti, Ti Plus are still just slightly softer for me than the J2 NFT. But the J2 NFT is super, super soft when you compare it to paddles at large. J2 FC Plus, right below that, J2 NF, J2 NFK, and then the J2K Plus and the J2K. So that's how it ranks for me, from the softest to the least softest of those J2 paddles. Okay, so do I recommend the J2 NFT? Yeah, I do. I think that if you've watched my review on the NF or just through this review and you've heard like, oh, the NF's the most powerful and it has a lot of pop, but maybe I want something that is powerful but not too poppy, has a softer touch, better control, while still having enough power to finish the job, then that's the J2 NFT is what you're going to want. And honestly, for $195 going down to $175, that's still, with the code AllDriveNoDrop, of course, that's still a pretty good price in today's landscape when a lot are going over $250. And honestly, for the performance that you get out of this paddle, it's some of the best. We should have a lot better durability with these foam cores. Everything I've seen with the foam cores has been really good as far as, you know, lasting longer. Obviously, you don't have to deal with core crushing. You could deal with, you know, the face coming off the core, but that seems to be more of a minor issue than the core crushing. So far so good. I think these foam paddles are going to be major players in the game, and I think the J2NFT is going to just be an amazing paddle for people looking for power, but with a little bit of touch. That's all I have. Remember, the pre-order will be shipping out mid-July to late July for the first batch, so get in on it while you can. Ask me any questions and comments. You know I'm happy to answer. Like the video if you found this useful, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, because our podcasts are coming out. David and I, we're bringing the heat on those podcasts. So thank you very much, and go play some pickleball.